This is your warning to not shop at Walgreens because my mom works there and they get robbed every single day in like the most bizarre ways. Like the other day, she got home from work and I said, "How was your day?" And she said, "Oh, we got robbed again." And I said, "What happened this time?" And then she said, "A guy came into the store, didn't say a word, walked behind the cash register, somehow knew the passcode to the cash register, typed it in, took all the money out, and then walked back out of the store without saying a word." I said, "Did anyone try to stop him?" She said, "No, we're not supposed to." Yeah, for minimum wage, I wouldn't either. And she says this as if it's just a normal Tuesday. Like there was another time where she came home and she was like, "Oh, we're getting robbed right now." I said, "Right now?" And she said, "Yeah, but my shift ended, so I just clocked out." I said, "You clocked out during a robbery?" And she was like, "Yeah, the guy's been robbing the store for 3 hours." I said, "How does a robbery take 3 hours?" And she was like, "Well, he came in and we recognized him because he's robbed us before. So we called the cops, and when the cops came, he saw them and got scared. So he locked himself in the bathroom, and that's where he's at right now." And I try to convince her to quit the job because she doesn't need it. My dad makes good money, but she just does it for fun because she's bored. And I'm always like, "Mom, quit your job." But she's always like, "No, I don't want to quit my job." Yes, you do. I hear you complain about it every day. But my question to everyone that works at Walgreens or a store like that, is this normal or does my mom just work in Gotham City or something? If you were a doctor and you were on a plane and someone started to have a heart attack, what would you do? Because one time I was on a flight and someone started hyperventilating and then they passed out. And someone was like, "Oh my gosh, is anyone on here a doctor?" And one guy raised his hand and said, "Yes, I am." And then they said, "Can you help this guy? He just passed out." And you know what the doctor says? He says, "Oh, I'm not that type of doctor. I'm a dentist." Then why would you raise your hand? You think this guy needs a cavity filled on the plane? No! Luckily, the guy that passed out ended up being okay, and it turns out he was just nervous because it was his first flight. But I know now that when that doctor goes on flights in the future, he is not raising his hand. Why do people on social media switch up so fast? Like, I remember one creator who literally committed crimes, and people started to hate on them, but then like a week later, all the comments were back to just saying how much they love them. Like, they are a felon, and all of a sudden you forgot about that? I swear no one in the comments ever thinks for themselves. They just agree with whatever everyone else is saying. That's probably why I still get comments telling me to oil up. It's the same thing. Please stop doing that, by the way. Have you ever met someone that everybody loved, but you got a bad vibe from? Because I did one time, and it turns out I was right. So there was this new kid at our school, and immediately within the first week of him being there, it seemed like he was already everyone's best friend. But whenever I would see him interact with people, something about it just looked like he was being fake. So I brought this up with my friends, and they had no idea what I was talking about. Like, they loved him too, so at that point, I was like, okay, maybe I'm just jealous that everyone likes this kid. Maybe I'm the problem. But as time went on, it felt like he was low-key trying to turn my friends against me. So at that point, I was like, okay, I gotta do something about this. So I started researching him, and I found out that the reason he transferred to our school was because he got kicked out of his old one. You know why? Because he punched a girl. Yes! Sorry, I wasn't doing a fist pump because I was happy a girl got punched. I was doing a fist pump because I was happy that my gut was right. My condolences to the girl. But anyways, if you think someone ever gives off a bad vibe, trust yourself. You're probably right. What would you do if you crashed during your driver's test? Because you'll never believe what happened during mine. Because when I was taking my test, the person that was in the car with me that decided whether I passed or failed wasn't even paying attention to my driving. They just cared more about what was going on outside of the car. Like, she literally saw a guy making elotes and she was like, "Ooh, we should stop for an elote." Just kidding. And you know, my response was like, because I'm sucking up to her hoping that it'll help me pass my test. But then she sees a skunk on the ground across the street and she's like, "Oh my gosh, look at this skunk." But I wasn't sure if she was trying to trick me to see if I would keep my eyes on the road or not, so I just didn't look. But then we finished the test and she says, "Congratulations, you got a perfect score." Don't get me wrong, I was happy I passed, but dog, I did not deserve a perfect score. I almost hit a pedestrian. I didn't stop fully at a stop sign. Like, if I ran someone over, would she even have noticed? Or cared? Whoever's responsible for passing all these people, please make it harder to pass because no one knows how to drive. Probably even me. I was arguing with someone on TikTok and I made a comment that said, "You talk like you're 9 years old." And I click on this person's profile to see what they look like. And their bio literally says 8 years old and all their posts are Roblox clips. I was beefing with an 8-year-old. And I was losing. No one talks about how crazy it is when people that you went to school with start to get married, because there's 2 people from my school that just got married. Meanwhile, I still live with my parents. I asked the guy who's getting married what he likes to do for fun, and he said that he likes to do wedding planning with his fiance. And then he asked me what I like to do for fun, and I was like, oh, I like to play Minecraft. I don't know. Like, bro, I'm still just a little baby, and you're getting married? Like, I practically came out of the womb yesterday. I'm still an infant. How do people find partners for relationships? Because it feels like if you don't have someone at your work or at your school that you like, you're cooked. Then people will say, oh, well, try dating apps. No! I would rather lick a homeless man's foot because dating apps just seem so awkward to me. Like, you meet a stranger online and you both know that the other person is incredibly down bad or else you wouldn't be on the app in the first place, and then you're supposed to somehow form a connection with them? Dog, I can't even form connections with people normally, so there's no way I could do it like that. So I asked a really wise adult I know, well, I guess I'm an adult too, but oh my gosh, I'm an adult. But anyways, I asked this adult where he found his significant other because he always gives really good advice, and he says, rehab. And that's it, I give up. I'm never finding anyone. How do people take more than a day to respond to text messages? It doesn't make sense because when was the last time you didn't check your phone for over a day? Probably never. Or maybe I'm just chronically online. But anyways, one time someone told me they just don't have the energy to reply. What does that even mean? It takes 1 second. I'm not asking you to run a marathon. I'm just asking for a text back. Like, I remember another time where a girl somehow took 4 days to reply to me. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna match her energy and not reply for a while. Dog, I started shaking after 14 seconds, so I gave in and texted her back. But then after I replied to her, she didn't respond again for 2 days. So I double texted her and I said, I know you're on your phone. Why don't you respond? And within a minute, she responded and said, you're right, I am on my phone. I just don't want to talk to you. Did I cry a little bit? Yeah. But at least she texted me back quickly. I'm so delusional. Have you ever had a friend that falls in love with a new person every week? Because one time, a girl transferred to my school, and the moment my friend saw her, he was like, dude, I'm gonna marry her one day. And he was so serious, so I was like, bro, you haven't even talked to her. How do you know you love her? And he was just like, when you know, you know. But the next week, I asked him how it was going with this girl, and he said he moved on from her because he had a new crush on a girl he met at the grocery store. So I was jokingly like, dude, this is not healthy. You need therapy. But then to my surprise, he was like, I already do go to therapy. So I was like, oh, cool. How do you like it? And he said he loved it because he has a crush on his therapist. Now that I think about it, he also said he loved my mom one time, but now I'm wondering if he meant it in a weird way. So if you see this man in public, don't make eye contact with him. He will probably fall in love with you. Have you ever noticed that every school has copies of the same exact people? Because when I was younger, I transferred to a school where I thought I didn't know anyone. But on my very first day, at 8 a.m. in the morning, I see a girl in my class wearing pajamas with her hair up in a bun eating hot Cheetos. So I was like, wait, I think I went to school with this girl, but then I saw her face and it was a completely different person. I was shocked because I never would have thought there was multiple people that do this, especially at 8 a.m. in the morning. But then it got weirder because I saw my own doppelganger and we recognized each other right away because he was the kid who wouldn't talk because he wanted to seem mysterious and nonchalant when in reality, everyone just thought he was weird for not talking. Like, that's literally my twin. When I saw him, I was like, don't worry, bro. You don't have to pretend with me. I see the real you. Does anyone else's personality change based off who they're hanging out with? Like, I will literally be the type of person that goes from saying, what's up, gang, to the type of person that says, hello, how are you? Depending on the friend group. But I don't even do this on purpose. I just subconsciously change my personality based on who I'm hanging out with. I'm an introvert with some friends, but if you get me around friend group number 2, I'm the loudest one there. Like, I'm even the group leader, you could say. I'm just kidding. I even have one friend group where I have an accent. Like, they genuinely believe that I have family in Australia or something, and that's why I talk like this. But the scary part is that at this point, I don't even know which personality is my real one. Am I a what's up gang person? Or am I a hello, how are you type of person? I don't know. Now that I think about it, this kind of sounds like a disorder. Maybe I should go to the doctor. How do people like alcohol? Because I feel like everyone who tells me that it's good is lying. And I'm not trying to be one of those people who are like, oh my gosh, I'm so much better than you because I don't drink. Dog, I don't care what you do. I just genuinely don't like it. Every alcohol I've ever tried tastes like air freshener to me. But you know how I'm sure that it's not just me who thinks this? Whenever I see people drink, this is their reaction. Cheers. But then you ask them how it tastes and they're like, oh, it's great. Like, that does not look like you're enjoying it. What am I missing? I feel like it's a lie that everyone but me is in on. Why do people have privacy screen protectors? Like, what are you hiding? Because the most annoying thing is when someone's like, oh my gosh, look at this funny video. But then I have to be like, I can't see the damn video because of your stupid screen protector. I asked one of my friends with one why they use it, and they said it's because they don't like people looking at their phone. But dog, I promise you, no one cares what's on your phone. But also, why does it matter if they see what's on there? Like, how freaky are you getting on your phone to be that scared of someone seeing it? That's very suspicious. But the most funny thing about the people that use privacy screen protectors is that they look crazy because it looks like they're always just scrolling on a phone that's not turned on. That's more embarrassing than whatever freaky stuff you're actually looking at on there. Have you ever asked your mom if you could hang out with friends and she responds with the most ridiculous reason why it's not safe to? Like, I remember one time I asked my mom if I could go to the beach with some of my friends and she literally responded by saying, I don't know if it's safe to with the war going on right now. So I thought about it and I was like, what war is she talking about? So I asked her and she said, the one in Russia. Mama, we live in California. I don't think I'm gonna be in danger going to a beach that's 10,000 miles away from where the war is. But my mom watches the news a lot, so there was another time where I said, hey mom, can I go to the mall with some friends? And she said no, because there was a kid who just passed away at the mall the other day. What she did not mention in that conversation was that the teenager passed away from choking on a corn dog in the food court. I had to convince her to let me go by promising that I wouldn't eat any corn dogs while I was there. Rest in peace to the corn dog kid though. That's a pretty sick way to go out. Have you ever had a friend that's both the smartest and dumbest person you know at the same time? Because there's a kid I used to go to school with that goes to Harvard now. But the craziest part is that he never seemed like he was trying in school. But he's going to Harvard, so he's obviously smart, right? Wrong, because this is the same guy who I went to a restaurant with one time, and I asked him what he was going to eat, and he said, I don't know, what are you gonna eat? So I said, oh, I'm gonna get the eggs and bacon. It's really good, you should try it. And he responds by saying, nah, I don't really like fruits. I was like, oh, that's understandable, but wait, what does not liking fruits have to do with getting eggs and bacon? And he said, oh, well, eggs are a fruit, so I wouldn't want to get that. I'm not kidding when I tell you that I stared him in the eyes for 5 seconds before finally saying, oh my gosh, you're actually being serious. The guy that is going to Harvard thought that an egg was a fruit. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm scared. I'm terrified for the future. This is your warning to never make fun of old people. Because one time, I wanted to go to a Drake concert, so I asked my mom if she could buy me tickets, but she didn't know who Drake was. So I showed her his social media pages, and after I did, she was like, oh, so you know him. Well, why don't you just text him and ask him for tickets? Oh yeah, mom, let me just send a text to my boy Drake real quick. Why didn't I think of that? But this terrified me because I realized one day, we're all gonna be like this. Soon, kids are gonna make fun of us for not knowing how to use technology and not knowing what certain words mean. Actually, it's already happening because for the past year, I've been trying to figure out what the word skibbity means, and I still don't know. I can't believe I just said that word out loud. Having a friend that's comfortable around you is great until they get a little too comfortable. Because my friend would literally treat my house as if it was his own. And that doesn't sound too bad until I tell you that he would literally open my fridge and start drinking milk straight from the carton. First of all, that's insane. But second of all, my mom would be mad if she saw me doing that. Imagine if she sees you with that milk mustache. But also, some of the other things he would do at my house wasn't even him being comfortable. It was just him being gross. Like one time, we were on the couch watching TV and he was literally like, watch this. And then he farted on my dog. I'm pretty sure that's illegal. And my poor dog just reacted by giving him one of these. But then another time, he spent the night at my house, so in the morning he asked if he could borrow some clothes from me, and I was like, sure, go ahead. But then he took my underwear. I thought he wanted shorts or a shirt. You don't share underwear. And I just saw him fart on my dog, so I know he's gonna leave skid marks in those. Who raised this man? Nobody talks about how having a crush will literally turn you into a detective. Because one time I stalked this girl's social media because I liked her. So I wanted to learn everything about her, and I found her Visco, and about 20 minutes into scrolling through it, I saw one of her posts that had a really niche song on it that not many people know. So after I found this, I posted a story with this song on it as if I actively listened to this band, and she swiped up on it and she was like, oh my gosh, you listen to this band too? I said, yes, girl, this is my favorite band. It's a good thing she didn't pull the name 5 songs card out because I would have been cooked. But anyway, she was like, no way, I love that band too. I didn't think anyone else knew about them. And my response was, are you kidding? I thought I was the only one who listened to them. So we started talking a lot, but do not try this because if you build a relationship on a lie, they will find out. Because a couple months later, she was showing me a picture of one of the people in the band and I was like, who is that? So she started to figure out that I actually have no idea who this band is. So I admitted to her what I did and she thought it was weird. So don't try it. Don't try it. Nobody talks about how hard it is to grow up with attractive parents. Because I went to school with a kid whose mom literally used to be a model, so he had to fight for his life every day in class. Like we had a day called Muffins with Mom where everyone would bring their mom to school and eat muffins with them. But when everyone saw this kid's mom, you would have thought she was Beyonce the way everyone was running up to her. Like these kids were flirting with her in the craziest ways. I remember I heard one kid say to her, I may be young, but I'm experienced. That was the moment where I actually started to feel bad for him because imagine your friend saying stuff like this to your mother. And after this day, everyone would ask him if he wanted to hang out. But when he would say yes, they would always be like, okay, great, but we have to hang out at your house. And they literally just said this because they wanted to get a chance to see his mom. I don't blame them though. I had a crush on his mom too. Believing that everyone who looks at you is flirting with you is the most dangerous delusion you can have because the other day, I was at Trader Joe's and as I went to check out, the cashier asks me how my day's going. So I say, it's going good, how about you? But then she starts asking more personal questions like, do you have any plans for the weekend? And I'm like, why are you asking? But by this point, I'm just fully delusional and I'm thinking, she wants me, bro. So because I thought she liked me, I started asking her questions back and I said, what are you doing this weekend? Immediately, she just breaks my heart because then she says, oh, I'm going to the movies with my boyfriend. So apparently, she was cheating on me the whole time. I mean, did we meet 5 seconds ago? Yeah. Did I know her full name yet? No, but I thought we were on the same page. But this isn't even the worst thing that's happened from me being delusional because there was another time where a girl literally just held the door open for me. Like, that's it. So I was like, do I feel some chemistry right now? And I said, oh, thank you. You're so sweet. what's your name? And she goes, sorry, can you not stop in the middle of the doorway? And I look behind me to see that there's an old man in a wheelchair, and that's who she was holding the door open for. I just happened to walk in before him. I don't get it, because I usually think that no one likes me, but at the same time, I think everyone is flirting with me. Why am I so delusional?